Thank you so much. And I actually have written a whole speech to talk to you about the situation in Israel. But I'd like to say a few words on that. Firstly, I'd like to thank Knesset Member Tatiana Mazarsky and my colleagues here, Simon Davidson, and many friends here, Albert Veksler, who's been advocating and keeping the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast alive here and all around the world to gather together our friends and my friends here all around the table. So many incredible partners who are working tirelessly day and night to defend Israel, but really to defend Israel. And you don't defend Israel just on the military and put an armory and your uniforms and a gun and you go out. We know how to do that. I was a combat soldier today, and in my time I did that as well when it was necessary. But every single one of you here represent part of the defense of the state of Israel, but not just, also the Jewish people around the world. And when you were playing this video, you know, I've been following up close our relationship with Norway. I actually sent, during that time when I heard that the foreign ministry in Norway decided not to send or to tell the king, advise the king on not sending any kind of condolences or taking part of this issue, I actually wrote him a letter in the hope to try and persuade him and explain to him the actual situation and the truth here without a reply. But my cousins, when I was looking on this video, I was really thinking of my cousins in Oslo, who have sent me a picture on his way on the train of a swastika on the wall about a year ago. And my other cousin, who's studying in Bergen, she's Norwegian. And she was calling me one evening, and I could hear loud background noises. And she was calling me on the phone really quietly, and she was terrified. There were massive demonstrations just on the street next to her apartment, yelling out, Zionists out, Jews out. We will reach you, we will find you, get out of here. And she's Norwegian, born and bred, and she was terrified. And when you were playing this video, it just painted back that phone call, my own personal cousin, and what she actually experiencing ever since the 7th of October. And when I say that we are not just fighting from a military perspective, we have quite a few battlefields. We have the battlefield of the media and social media, where our enemies are well set. And we need to first understand and identify our enemy. This is not just the enemies of Israel. This is your enemies as well. What you see here today, this is not a territorial war. This is a war on our belief, on our religion, on our culture. This war was forced on us. We didn't choose it, but it was forced on us on a brutal attack on the 7th of October. You know all the details. You've seen the details. You've been informed. You know the truth. This is not about a territorial dispute, but Israel being this symbol of the free world here in the Middle East. The biggest instigator of violence, of destabilizing, the biggest funder of terror is Iran. And its long arms, its armies are spread all around us. In the north in Lebanon, they've been occupying Lebanon for dozens of years. Lebanon was the pearl of the Middle East culturally, economically. And when Iran entered them, they're forming Hezbollah, occupying that country, conquering it. It created a complete economical destruction and cultural destruction, political destruction, and posing a threat on Israel. same of what we're seeing in Syria. This is the same things of what they've done in Iran against their own people. This is what they're doing. Look on what happened in Yemen with the Houthis, on their orders, the starvation, the population who are in desperate need. What they turned the Middle East to under their power. And Israel is this shining light that no matter how complicated your society is, because here in Israel, make no mistakes, we are Jews, we are Christians, we are Muslim, we are Druze, we are Cherkess, and so many other cultures and religion, and we are capable of living here side by side freely with our values, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, women's right, equality, minorities' rights. And that's what's really bothering them. It is that cultural aspect of the free world and what we represent here. We are merely a representation of your culture, your values, your belief, and your identity in the Middle East. And that's why, for the last year, as the country who is the most threatened countries, who's been attacked from 6 different fronts, 6 different fronts, from Lebanon, from Hamas, and from Syria, from Yemen, from Iraq, from Iran. We are fighting a war on our values and on our identity. And this war, the after effect of what you see it in the media. Those enemies have strategic plans, not just for the Middle East region, but for Europe, for America, for South America. Try and explain me why Hezbollah, the army of Iran, has the biggest operations. They are controlling the illegal drug and weapon route trafficking in Central and South America. This is one of their biggest operations, to pose a threat on America. And they have many operations through their proxies in Europe and in other areas. But it's not just from a military point of view. They are strategically fighting us through the media and social media. You see that, for example, Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is the mouthpiece of the Muslim Brotherhood. Spread their blood libels, complete lies, and fabrication. But they're the most popular one. And those lies are being spread like wildfire to poison the minds of the younger generation, whose many of them are getting their education on TikTok and their facts on TikTok. And Al Jazeera knows that. Our enemy knows that. And so they're lying and spreading lies. And it's catching. It's catching. They have invested billions of dollars in social media, in bots farms and people who are operating their social media as well to try and push their agenda, their point of view, to change the minds of the younger generations. And this is only part of that political influence. You can stay here with the baby, please. We are here for the next generation. What we're doing here is I have 3. My eldest one is 4 years old and my twins are 2 years old. So sometimes they walk around here too. It's good noises. Look, this media war that we are fighting is also part of a war on influence, political influence. They're buying influence, not just through the media, but actual paid influence through governments, okay? They're putting people on their payrolls as well. But they're buying influence and assets to try and manipulate the system. What you've seen with the ICC just in recent days, this is a political decision. That decision should make any leader in the free world tremble. Because if they do it to Israel, when Israel set some of the highest standard in urban warfare in regards of humanitarian aid and of civilian casualties, None of the armies in the free world will be able to reach that high standard, which means that the next time a country will attack you, no matter which one it is, you will be defenseless. Not just because you will not be able to reach that standard, your leaders will be prosecuted by the ICC. It became a political tool. And the ICC is not Israel's problem. We will deal with it. Trust me. The next ones are America. The next ones are in Europe. Whoever will want to defend their communities against an evil force, what will these terrorist organizations do? They just learned that they will be compensated for going into civilian towns and using human shields. They will be defended by the international community, and you will not be able to fight them. And that changes everything. Everything for these evil forces. And every leader in the free world needs to tremble, to shake when a decision like that is being made. Look, what you see now is only the start. We, the Jews, know all too well how it always starts with the Jews. And sometimes you ask yourself, you learn the lessons of the Second World War, and you ask yourself, how could an entire population be so blind? How could it buy the propaganda? How was it silent during such atrocities or defending them? We Jews know that all too well. During the Holocaust, it started with the Jews, and everybody were silent until it spread to other nations, threatening the entire free world. Not just there. My mom is Moroccan. As Moroccan Jews who for generations saw Morocco, Algeria, Libya as our home, we were persecuted, forced out. Hundreds of thousands of us from Iraq, from Iran, from Syria, from Lebanon. Who's the most persecuted minority now in those countries? It's Christians. So it starts with the Jews, and you're next. And when you understand that principle, okay, when you understand the threat, when you understand our enemy, you understand the huge threat right now on our society. You just need to look on Iran and what's happening there, or on Yemen, or in Lebanon, to understand what's going to be coming. And when you ask yourself, how some of the world, the younger generation, is so blind to all of these facts of the oppression, the massacre, the rape in Iran, in Yemen, through the Taliban now as well. You've seen what they're doing to women. How are they so blind? How can they march the streets of Bergen in support of these terrorist organizations? Do they wish that life upon them? How? And these are the questions of the lesson that weren't learned from the Second World War. And it is time that our generation that march through the streets will take a very close look on what's happening. When they are marching those streets, burning the Norwegian flag, the British flag, the American flag, chanting those terrorist organizations to globalize the Intifada, meaning bringing the rape, the murder, the burning, the execution to your street, burning your flag. And on the other hand, we see community like yours marching proudly with an Israeli flag and marching proudly with a Norwegian flag or an American flag or a British flag. They need to ask themselves, it's not about Israel, but it is what side you want to be on. The side that burns your flag and destroys your identity and your culture, or the side that waves it out proudly. Thank you very much.